What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts Jon Macaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. If you would like to listen live, join Will and Jon every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Time on IG Live at handle @WillNotFear. We take each IG episode and upload them straight to this podcast. So happy you're tuning in to Men Talking Mindfulness. Now, on to the show.
Well, hey everybody. Welcome back to Men Talking Mindfulness. We missed the last couple weeks. We apologize. Jon's going to jump on in a moment here. My colleague and cohort and all this, Jon Macaskill. I'm really excited to talk to him today in particular because he's transitioning out of the military as we speak. His last day, I think, is August 3rd. After 24 years of service and climbing to the ranks of Navy SEAL commander, which is pretty incredible. Oh, and there is Mindful Frogman right now, and let's bring him on. Waiting for Jon. That's it. Hey, and we'll stay on. Yeah. Oh, there he is. What's up?
Hey, brother. How are you?
Good to see you. How's the road trip?
It's going well, man. We're down in Santa Rosa, Florida right now. Let me see if I can switch the camera around here.
Oh, shit. That's nice.
Yeah, staying at our brother-in-law's, or my brother-in-law's little place down in the beach. So living the life.
Obviously.
Head down to the beach right after this call. So yeah,
Jon,
I'm enjoying it.
You can't say that to a New Yorker who's been locked in his apartment, for months.
True, man.
No, I'm
Sorry
just
about that.
I'm just kidding. But it's good to see you. And and for everybody out there that's watching, Jon, he started his epic adventure, a week ago, and you're doing 2 months on the road with your family?
Yeah, that's the plan. So we've been planning for this for a couple of years. Sold our house at the beginning of May, moved into an RV. I've got 2 little ones and my wife and then a puppy. And we moved into an RV, just living on an RV campground for a couple of months, kind of learning the ropes of living in a small space together. And then where are we now? Today's Friday. So last Wednesday, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, on July 1st, we got on the road. Ended up having a breakdown on day 2, blew out a couple of tires. And I think I texted you. I was like, man, it was the best breakdown ever. We have an RV that's air conditioned. So we sit there in the air conditioning, waiting for somebody to come pick us up. And then we were pretty close to our destination for that day. So we just jumped in the car that we're towing behind and drove an hour while the RV got worked on. And now we're here in Santa Rosa. So certainly can't complain. Even though we had a breakdown, it's been a lot of fun living with the family in a small space. Yeah. And I heard you doing the introduction there as I was starting to dial in. Had some pretty wild emotions, a cocktail of emotions that I've been experiencing, and definitely want to talk through that for anybody else that may be looking for a transition in life, whether it's out of the military or any other transition that they may be going through. It's interesting, even when you know that the transition is coming, and I've been preparing for this transition for years, right? It still hit me like a ton of bricks. When we get further into the conversation, I'll talk through some of the emotions that I've been experiencing, and then really like what brought those to the surface, how I've dealt with those, and how mindfulness kind of has played into a lot of that. So I'm looking forward to the conversation today, brother.
Yeah, same. It's good. so I apologize that we missed the last 2 weeks, but I mean that's part of life. It's just like
Yeah.
the trends. You're moving on to something else. We need like that's just and then I think it's just just forgiving ourselves for doing it. You know what I mean? But still staying connected in that space of compassion, I guess you want to say that.
Right.
But
my old buddies, my SEAL team buddies, been there. He joined us for the conversation. So he's gone through his own transition. So I'm curious what he may have to say during the conversation, if he's got anything to chime in with. So
yeah, please, if you're we're going to be on for the next 40 minutes or so. So anytime during that time, we can see your comments. So like, don't be afraid to type a comment. And we'd love to, I mean, this is just a conversation for all of us. John and I just happen to be the two guys leading it. But this is, us kind of in service of all of you, just around the topic of mindfulness and not masculinity per se. And we're men and we can't get away from our masculinity, but, that's, here we are,
Yeah.
So should we jump in or anything else?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. To start, well, why don't we just keep going, John? Like, about, one thing. I mean, how about I just lead off like my own, like, I've made some pretty significant transitions in life and changes in life. I think they're almost like kind of the same, words in some way, on this topic, and they're never easy. But I feel like anytime I'm making change, and I feel like one thing about this conversation now, it's like we're all in this massive flux of change and transition in our lives, whether we like it or not, because of what's going on with COVID for sure. I think it's just a giant like social experiment that we're all on, and then we have, what's going on with like our social justice and Black Lives Matters, which is really starting to change things. And for me, it's like just being, I guess, the eternal optimist. Like, I think anytime we're transitioning or changing, it's just a huge opportunity, to see what else we can do,
Yeah.
So
yeah, what else we can do and what else we can be. I think that, absolutely. Like, as we've discussed before, I've kind of been planning for this. And the eternal optimist in me, like you just mentioned, it's always like, hey, I'm going to be fine, but I still got to plan for it. I'm going to be fine, but I still got to plan for it. Right. And then, so technically my last day in the Navy is August 1st. Right. However, I'm on what's called terminal leave right now. So it's my last like 30 days, when I'm still in the Navy, but I'm on leave. So for most intents and purposes, outside of the administrative side of things, I left the Navy last Wednesday when I left Virginia in the RV.
Yeah.
I was, again, very much looking forward to it. Same time, I knew that there was a little bit of anxiety because it's been something I've known for 24 years. Steady paycheck, steady tribe that I've been a part of. And then bam, July 1st comes, jump in the RV. Okay, it just seems like vacation. And it didn't really hit me until I was sitting there watching Patriots Day with my wife. I don't know if you remember Patriots Day, but it's the one with Mark Wahlberg where they reenact the Boston Marathon bombing.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. But, for the better part of my adult life, being in the Navy, I've been fighting our enemy in a sense, and in actuality, I've been fighting the enemy. And seeing that movie where there was a terror attack here on American soil, and then realizing, what, I am not going to be directly fighting that enemy anymore. I've been taking that fight to the enemy for so long, and now it's not me that's doing it, somebody else that's doing it. And I'm going to be doing something completely different, working with a completely different tribe. Still good work, but it hit me like, wow, that has been my purpose for 20 something years, is fighting the enemy, right? Keeping America safe from stuff like that. And then seeing it like that, really, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I started to like have like a little bit of anxiety attack. Like,
Wow.
man, I am not, this is who I was. And now I'm somebody completely different. And it hurt.
And
It physically hurt.
the anxiety coming from like almost like you wanting to do something about it and not being able to do like that's, or just because I'd imagine like, 24 years, like you have a deep like neurological programming in the sense of like, I got to take care of this. That was coming up. Wow.
Yeah. That's exactly what was welling to the surface, man. And I didn't anticipate it. Like watching movie, big deal. Okay. But knowing that movie was true, that was an enemy. And now if there's an enemy here on US soil, I can't do anything about it actively. Like, sure, I can support our troops. I can, support the war effort, that kind of thing. Not that I'm a warmonger, nothing like that, but I just, I'm a patriot, and not being able to do something about it actively, that's when it really hit me like a ton of bricks, and I started having that anxiety. Like, man, I'm a different person, or rather, the situation is different, but I'm the same person, and not being able to do anything about it. So that's kind of that emotional cocktail that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks. Like, I know we were supposed to do this episode a couple of weeks ago, and then like you said, life got in the way. It's actually, I think, even better to have this conversation now because I've already experienced some of these other things that I didn't anticipate. I was very excited to be getting out. Hey, moving on to something different. Moving on to a time that I can spend more time with my family, which I am doing, and I'm adoring that. I'm really loving spending more time with my family. But at the same time, it seems like there's been a little bit of a loss of purpose.
I mean, what I'm feeling, what you're saying, it's like, or what my questions that come up for me are, it's like, I mean, that loss of purpose, meaning like, you get up every day and you knew exactly what you're going to do that day, that week, that month. And now what's it like? It's just like, here's my family, here's the camper. Like, what is that? I mean, I'm glad you kind of have a mission of like, mission, I think it's a key word, right? You have like a mission of traveling with your family and enjoying yourself. But what is it like to, be fully in charge of your life, I guess, at this point,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fully hit me yet. Like, I keep thinking that I need to check in with my boss or, submit some type of leave paperwork or, I mean, even the fact,
isn't that so crazy? Like,
how,
go ahead.
Crazy. Like, even the fact that I have a beard right now.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That's a new thing for me, right? I'm normally clean shaven, and unless I'm overseas in a war zone, and it just feels completely foreign to me. And then the other piece that's really weird is, I've been told what to wear every day, and not been told, but I wear a uniform, which is easy. I go to the closet, grab my uniform, go to work.
Right.
And now, like, getting up in the morning, I'm like, well, what am I doing today? What do I need to wear? It's really like the decisions that come into mind are kind of weird. I think I saw a comment pop up.
Oh wait,
it said Benjamin.
Oh yeah, sorry. I don't see, like, they have I don't have any questions. Yeah, nothing that's come up yet or anything, but yeah.
Anyway,
saw some hearts fly, John. Obviously,
you're there you go.
Stuff here, right?
So anyway, I sat down this morning, after having that, maybe anxiety attack is probably a little bit dramatic, but where I had that strong emotion bubble to the surface. I sat down this morning with my coffee, and I was like, all right, I'm okay. And I did some, meditation and some just mindful taking in of the atmosphere around me, and did some journaling, and that really helped to be like, okay, I journaled, what is my purpose? And my purpose right now is my family and myself. And when is the last time that has been the priority? Sure, I like to say that my family has been priority number one, but the Navy has a different idea about what's priority number one. And now I can truly put them as number one and put myself, up there as a priority as well. I can take care of myself mentally. I can take care of myself by taking some time off. I think I can sit and breathe.
Well, tell me, go into that a little bit if you don't mind. Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Like, why was it more? If you're aware now, because I know it's so new, but why was it so challenging before to kind of find that breath versus like the space you're in now?
Yeah, I think it's just the constant demand on your time. Like, you've got a BlackBerry or some type of email constantly on your hip. You're constantly at the beck and call of your boss for whatever it may be. I mean, I will be completely transparent. The past year and a half has not been very busy for me in the Navy.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was getting up at 5:30, getting to work by 6:15 or so, knocking out emails and phone calls, getting to the gym for a short period, but even that was like crush it and then get back into the office. It wasn't.
Sounds like a go kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like on this rat race, right? And it's not like a rat race as it is in corporate America where you're trying to outdo, another corporation. It's a rat race where you're trying to outdo the enemy, right? And you have to perform better than they are. You have to work out harder than they are, but at the same time, get the administrative side of work done. You have to get the training done. There's just so much on your plate that like breathing and focusing on yourself and taking some time to do some deep introspective work, it's just not there. You just don't have that time. And then there's that anxiety that if you take that time, well, what else am I missing out on? But at the same time, now looking back on it and having done my mindfulness training, the work that I've done over the past couple of years, I know that breathing actually pays off and makes that other work that you're doing more effective. You're more productive. You're more in the moment. You're going to communicate better. There's just so many reasons that you should do it.
Right.
But there's so many reasons that it feels like you just don't have the time to do it.
Do you have
counterintuitive?
Do you have examples of each? You know what I mean? Like a moment of like taking that breath or a moment of not. You know what I mean? If you have an example, great.
Yeah, lots of times. Like, I mean, I would go into, even in the past 2 years that I told you it wasn't that busy, there would still be times of, a little bit higher stress. And I would go into work and get a little frazzled. And I would just take a 10-minute, 15-minute break, go do a walk and listen to the birds. I would leave my phone behind because I knew my phone would, and I would tell my boss, hey, look, this is where I'm going. I'm leaving my phone. I'll be out of touch for the next 15 minutes. I normally got the thumbs up, no big deal. Go out, do that, listen to, the wind in the trees, blowing the leaves, listen to even cars passing by, just whatever's going on with my sensory perception, my sensory awareness at the time. And then doing some deep belly breathing, doing some of the stuff we've talked about in the past, putting my hand on my heart, getting the oxytocin, that type of work. I would go back after that 10 or 15 minutes of just doing that. My nerves would be, more leveled out. I'd be able to focus more on the tasks that were on my to-do list and get through the day feeling much better. And then when I'd be done with work, I'd be able to go home and spend that time with my family on a different mindset, a completely different level than I would have otherwise. So yeah, there's definitely benefits that we've spoken about in the past to that. It's just, you have to be very intentional to set that time aside and do it. Otherwise, life, like we even mentioned during this episode, life gets in the way of things, and it gets in the way of things, and it also gets in the way of yourself seeing what's truly important. Those are
that's great
anecdotal. But
you mentioned a cocktail. So we talked about anxiety. We talked about the go. Any other particular emotions that are really apparent, like that are
Yeah,
coming up, like as we're like 2 weeks into your, like
sure, man.
transition?
Yeah, that, I've mentioned the anxiety, but also it's been a long road, and I've kind of been eyeing the end of that road for a long time. So I've been excited about it. I've been excited to be on the other side of that line where you're in the Navy, and now suddenly you're on the other side of that line, and you're no longer in the Navy. So I've been excited to be able to do my own thing. I mean, I'm sitting here like I just sent you or showed you the picture of earlier, sitting here with the pools down below and the beach, just, half a mile away. And when I hang up with you, I'm going to go hang out at the beach. Normally I wouldn't be able to do that. So sure, that part was very exciting to me. And now that I am there, it's very cool. I'm like, all right, it's relaxing. But at the same time, that anxiety is there. Okay, well, anxiety and sadness, quite honestly, like, hey, that's been my brotherhood for so long that I've been a part of. I'm going on and doing different things, but that brotherhood is still out there, fighting the enemy. It feels like I've kind of been removed from that tribe. But at the same time,
that's another. Yeah, what is that like to, because you obviously are still friends and in contact, but not in operation, I guess.
Right.
Like, what you know what I mean? Is there? I know it's all new, but is there what's coming up for you there? I thought that might be really helpful for anybody that's listening.
Yeah, man. The day and age that we're living in right now, with social media, being able to text one another fairly regularly, I feel like I can still stay in touch with people if I need to. But it's not the same as seeing them every day, right? Going into the office and kind of shooting the bull with them, giving each other a little bit of grief here and there, razzing one another. You don't get to do that. So it's much like, I don't know, growing up in a family. I forget what your family was like, Will, but I had 3 older sisters and a younger brother, and when you move away from your family, you still love them, you still stay in touch with them, but it's not the same house. Well, that's what it feels like. It feels like I've kind of moved out of the house, and I'm moving on, and the rest of the family, the brotherhood, if you will, is still back there in that house, doing what they've always done. But hey, it was my time to move on, and moving on to, I won't say bigger and better things. I'll just say moving on to different things.
New things,
things, exactly. So there's that cocktail of being happy and excited, but at the same time being anxious and a little bit sad. I guess it's kind of like graduating from high school or graduating from college or whatever.
Right.
Those years where you've been better with your classmates, and now you're on to something else.
Someone just called, but I'm back.
You're good.
I could see, like, there's interesting, you talk about family. This weekend would have been, I had my family reunion every single year for 75 straight years. Like big family, like 100 of us that show up, right? So, same place every year, second Saturday in July, and we had to cancel this year. And our family is kind of like, what do we like? It's in like my DNA. Like I rented a car. I'm driving home today. We don't have the official reunion, but it's the first time I'm going to see my family in months. But like, it's just, our family's in a little bit of disarray around this. It's like, but I want to see you guys, and we want to, like it's amazing, like the bonds that we form, especially, with family, but also I could see why you'd be so close. Obviously, especially going through so many different experiences with your, whether it's your platoon or your command or that we just and then all of a sudden something changes and you're like, now what do I do?
Right. Exactly. And I think there's times when I felt closer to my teammates than I have to my family, and I'm close with my family. I'm very close with my family.
Great.
But I don't think anything bonds you together. And when I say my family, I mean my sisters and my brother. I feel very close to my wife and my kids. That's the difference.
Thanks for clarifying,
Yeah.
Jon.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble.
But yeah, my brothers on the battlefield, man, nothing is going to bond you together like fighting side by side with one another. Because when it really comes down to it, when you're on the battlefield, you're fighting less for your country and for your freedom than you are fighting for the person directly beside you. You're there defending yourself. You're there defending the person that's right beside you on the battlefield. The big picture, sure, you're fighting for freedom, you're fighting for your country, but in the moment and under the heat of fire, you are there with that person right next to you. And nothing that I've ever felt in life is going to bond you like that, together with another person.
It was life and death, like I think that would definitely, I would think that would draw or bring the strongest bonds with it. It's really, talk about being in the moment. I mean, I've never been in that situation, but being in when your life is on the line, what else can you think about?
Right. Yeah. Not much.
Yeah, exactly. You just, work on, fall back into your training and just do.
Yeah. I mean, that's the epitome of mindfulness, right? That's like an extreme version of it. But that's why I think mindfulness would be so critical to implement in the military, is that you start kind of getting used to that idea of being focused on the here and now. And another term for mindfulness is just situational awareness.
Yeah,
so
great.
What's something that you want on the battlefield is situational awareness, and awareness of yourself, and awareness of your buddies around you, awareness of the assets that are available to you. Like if you have, aircraft overhead that can drop a bomb, on an, you need to know that, and you need to be aware of that. You need to be paying attention, that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's going back to the whole bond and the family.
Yeah.
It feels almost like I've left my family. And I've left them, not just leaving them, but I've left them to continue a fight that I was a part of before, and now I'm not. So I think that is something that veterans struggle with. This is not something that is unique to me, not at all. And I think that's one of the things, along with loss of tribe, loss of purpose, loss of identity. I mean, for so long, literally wearing the uniform, you've got your name on there, you've got your rank on there, you've got the all your ribbons, you've got the specialties that you have. That is your identity.
Yeah. Go a little further into that, that almost loss of identity. I mean, it's like the change of identity, not loss. It's still, but it's just not active identity. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think I told you this once before. At one point, I would travel home to Louisiana, where my family is, and my sisters would introduce me as, "Hey, this is my brother, the SEAL. This is my brother who's in the Navy," and not even throw my name out. I'm like, well, damn, I guess that's my identity now. And then at the same time, like I was mentioning before, you've got your uniform on with all your different things. You walk into a room and you don't even have to say anything. Somebody knows what branch of the service you've been in. Somebody knows how long you've been in. Somebody knows your rank, like where you stand in the hierarchy. They know what you do within that service or within that branch. So, as a SEAL, I've got my Navy SEAL trident on my chest. And as I walk in, people know that. And they know that with that comes, I have gone through, SEALs, other SEALs, other special operators have gone through a tremendous amount of training to get to where we are. And there comes a level of respect with that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like the next day, to be walking into a room in civilian clothes, nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what you've done. Nobody knows where you've been. It's a little bit of a kick to the ego, right? Certainly a loss of identity. It's almost like you take that identity and you hang it up in your closet, and it's almost like Superman and Clark Kent, right?
Yeah.
Clark Kent's kind of that dork
Very good
guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Clark Kent's walking around, he's kind of a dork. He's got his kind of nerdy glasses on. Yeah. I mean, I love Clark Kent, but Superman's the cool guy, right?
Yeah.
Superman's the guy who gets all the respect and attention. And that's how it feels, almost like I am. Like right now, I feel like I'm Clark Kent, and my Superman outfit is hung up in the toll booth. Do toll booths even exist anymore? I don't know. But anyway,
I just had that conversation today because I rented a car, but I don't even
that's
know.
Hilarious.
I hope so, or maybe you're not. Anyway, Easy Pass. Get Easy Pass, anybody out there? If you're not Easy Pass, sorry.
I've hung up my Superman uniform or outfit, and I'm never going to put it back on. So I'm like permanently Clark Kent. So it's a different identity. It's not necessarily a bad one, even though I called him a dork before.
Exactly. I mean, hey, you know what? Like, if you can be both, you can be a badass Navy SEAL and a dork. Like, I think you're doing really well. You know what I mean? Because you're like yin and yang, John, right? Yin and yang. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I think that's a little bit of what I'm experiencing. And again, it's not unique to me. Where, our whole conversation centers around mindfulness.
Yeah.
The mindfulness piece of it is critical. Like I said, I sat down this morning with my coffee and I just kind of focused on my sensory awareness and focused on what's important and what makes me happy and what brings me fulfillment. And there's a sense of pride in having served, a sense of pride in being a SEAL, sure. But what truly brings me fulfillment in this day and age is my family. It's my friends. It's being able to work on myself, do some deep introspective work. And I'm able to do that. So why can't I be happy? I can be. And the mindfulness piece plays a huge part in that for our fellow veterans, or my fellow veterans out there who are either going through transition themselves right now. They have gone through it, or they will go through it. You're in one of those stages.
Right.
At some point you're going to either go through it, you're in it, or you're just on the other side of it. I highly encourage sitting down and spending some time doing that work, doing that self-reflection, figuring out who it is you are, not who it is you were, but who it is you are now that you're not in the uniform.
Right.
Figure out what's important to you, and work towards making that the priority. Even though it may have been important to you, the Navy or the military, whatever branch it may be, that has kind of trumped everything else. And now you're able to make decisions for yourself. You're able to make things your own priority, and work towards making yourself happy there. So, I encourage doing the work. I encourage the mindfulness practices, which normally we start these off with a practice.
I know we didn't. We just jumped right in. Well, how about we finish with this? One last question. With this, it's like, maybe you don't have the answer, but maybe you've already started in some way. It's like, so, being a man of mindfulness as well, and knowing that this stuff works, do you have a particular strategy of utilizing mindfulness to help you transition more smoothly, or you know what I mean, or are there are you seeing just in these last 2 weeks ways that you can plug mindfulness in order to make things smoother?
I would say both. So the transition mindfully, I did a workbook called Designing Your Life. There's a book and an associated workbook. And Designing Your Life, they apply what's called design thinking to figuring out what it is you want to do. And so like for 3 weeks, you write down literally everything you're doing. Hey, I sat in a meeting about this. I played with my kids. I went and worked out. I read a book, whatever. You write down every little thing, and you write down how that made you feel, whether it gave you energy, whether it took energy away from you. At the end of that 3 weeks, you go back and you highlight everything that gave you energy, and then kind of highlight with a different color everything that took energy away from you. And then you take that and you do a mind map. And that mind map, I think, requires some serious mindfulness. Like, okay, you start with something in the center, whatever. I think I wrote down something about leading people was my center bubble. if you're familiar with mind maps, you just come up with a center bubble and then you kind of draw things around that. Well, leading people, that came as my center bubble, but eventually through that mindful practice, I came up with, leading people into things that are going to make them happier and healthier, helping them to be more productive, be more family oriented, just have a better sense of well-being.
Yeah.
Which I never really thought about before. As I was starting to think about transitioning, I was like, okay, what's the bright and shiny object that I can go after as a retiring Navy SEAL commander? I can go, I could probably go and work in somewhere in corporate America and make a decent living. I could do any number of things and do well for myself. But is that what my priority was? Is my priority, my bank account? How much money is in that? No, it's not. And I realized that by doing that mindful practice, doing that design thinking.
Great.
Yeah, so that piece I think is huge. Playing or being mindful as you play through your transition is critical. And then afterwards, like I'm going through right now, it's critical in that you identify the emotions that you're experiencing. You don't judge them. You just identify them and you be with them. You don't need to change them. They're just part of the experience. Identify it, experience it, allow it to be, and then move on. Yeah. So when I was sad, or rather feeling that anxiety watching Patriots Day, and I was like, at first I was a little ashamed. I was like, I'm embarrassed that I'm feeling this, and I'm embarrassed that I'm like tearing up in front of my wife watching this movie. And she, look, I mean, she's beautiful on the outside and in, and then she's like, okay, hey, you're okay. You've done all the work that's allowed other people to go forth and do what you've done in the past. She kind of helped me work through that, but at the same time, she was like, hey, it's okay to feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, she's teaching me what I teach, right?
Yeah.
I'm a mindfulness teacher, and I teach being okay with the emotions that you're experiencing. That's part of it, not judging it. But there I was judging my own emotions, and she was like, hey, she kind of turned the mirror around on me and was like, hey, it's okay to be feeling what you're feeling. So I think it's important to be mindful on both sides. Be mindful as you're working towards that transition, and then be mindful as you're actually going through it, for yourself mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I enjoyed hearing that one little piece, like that. You're still like mindfully transitioning with your strengths. You know what I mean? So instead of just getting a job and doing whatever, it's like you're a leader, right? I mean, that's very clear about like who you are, and that's like and that's a massive strength for you. And here you are taking, this ability to lead effectively and teaching people in a new way, or working with people in a new way, which I think, I think it's, that goes for, I've done a lot of work, and I help people in that direction of like, just double down on identify your strengths and then double down on them, because that's really, it's going to make you happy because it's so natural in some ways to do those things, whereas like if you just want to go out and make money, and I know you talked about real estate, last year as a potential, plan. It was just like, no, like I want to actually help people, and I want to be fulfilled. And, being a teacher is a natural leadership position.
Right.
So,
right.
That's awesome, Jon. Yeah. Very nice.
Well, yeah, thanks, man. It's actually, and even talking through it like this, like, spending 35 minutes talking about transition and the emotions and the thoughts that you go through, even that is therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel more relaxed now having talked through it with you, who I've never even actually met face to face.
I know, it's crazy.
But how therapeutic is this? It's
right.
It's like I feel a lot better now than I did coming into the conversation. Not that I was anxious about the conversation, but just I hadn't really uncovered some of this stuff. Even though I talked about it, and we've talked about it a little bit before, I hadn't really uncovered it until this conversation. Right. So I think that's another thing is people need to talk about it, right? Yeah. Be aware of it.
Right.
but then talk about it with someone, talk about it with a friend, talk about it with a family member, and don't be afraid to experience the emotions that you're feeling. So,
like live through them. I mean, I'd imagine, like, I know, I mean, speaking from a masculine perspective, I mean, it's like, you know, it's like we're sometimes, or depending how you're raised or where you're raised, or, and I'd imagine sometimes in the military, it's like we're kind of told not to have those emotional experiences. Like, like, feeling, sad or guilt, or, I mean, you're not, but like, and really getting sad about it isn't rewarded. It's actually kind of shunned, so, and then that energy just locks inside of us, and then it kind of fuels the emotions that are rewarded, of like anger, frustration, aggression, so I think that's a really good point too, is like really be with whatever you're experiencing, and
right.
it's like that whole, I think we talked, I think this, being aware of it is key, right? And then being with it is key. We can't, like, I think what I love about mindfulness, it's like it gives me, not only, it kind of first helps me create awareness, but then it helps, it helps any practitioner, as you continually do more of it, to understand that that's not who I am. It's just like a storm coming in, but
Right.
it's also, that storm's there for a reason, in the sense of, like, it's showing you and teaching you something. And if you really listen to it by being patient, practicing, reflecting, meditating, breathing, whatever, or talking about it, it's kind of, it's giving you like a little glimpse of, like, this is probably going to come up again. And then what are you going to do in order to transition, through it and beyond it, So, so this is like, this is really great, Jon. I really appreciate you, I mean, sharing this. Like, this is
man.
It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate you listening, because again, like I said, it's been therapeutic just sharing it with you. I'm not sure if we got anybody else listening, but it's if there is anyone, it is therapeutic to talk through this stuff. So again, share it with someone as you're going through it. Don't judge yourself for experiencing those sensations, those emotions. Like Will said, it's a storm, and there's a reason for it. Just like right now, I'm looking at beautiful sunny skies here in Florida again. But later this afternoon, there's going to be a storm, and there's a reason for it.
It's stormy as fuck right now in New York. Rain. It's like there's rain, clouds. Like, apparently we got a tropical storm that came through. But anything else, Jon, or you want to close this out in meditation?
Yeah, man.
Anything else?
I think that's it. Really, we covered a good bit there.
Yeah, me too. I felt that.
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up with the practice and call it a weekend, man.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, yeah, totally. So why don't you take us home, Jon? Or I'll gladly lead if you want. It's your call.
Oh, I'm my honor to do this, man.
Oh, me too. Thank you I'm honored to hold this space with you, Jon. Like, truly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm holding my phone, so hopefully this comes across okay. And excuse my hat hair.
We forgive you, Jon. We forgive you.
All right. Thanks, brother. All right. So wherever you are, I invite you to assume a comfortable position, whatever that may look like for you. Maybe it's sitting in a chair, or sitting on the ground on a cushion, or maybe even laying down, but just get comfortable. And what I like to do is slowly close my eyes, and I invite you to do the same if that's comfortable for you. If not, just soften your gaze and kind of lose your focus, and then bring one hand to your chest, right on top of your heart, and the other on top of your belly. And then bring your focus to your breath, and breathe in slowly through your nose. And then again, slowly out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. One more, in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And you can keep your focus on your breathing, or invite you to turn your attention to your hands and the sensation of the heart beating underneath one hand, and your belly rising and falling with each breath with your other hand. Focus only on those sensations for the next few seconds. The beating of your heart and the rising and falling of your belly. And in these quiet times, you may notice that your mind begins to wander. Just gently, without any judgment, bring it back to the practice, back to the physical sensations of the beating of your heart against one hand and the rising and falling of your belly against the other. You may feel some emotions even start to bubble to the surface. Don't feel a need to push those emotions away or to do anything with them. Just identify them, be with them. Even if they are deemed negative, they're just emotions. They're not negative or positive. Be with them, experience them, learn from them, and then give yourself the space and self-compassion to not judge yourself for those emotions, for those thoughts. You are human. You are beautiful. And you are perfect. Finally, come back to your breath. We'll wrap it up with 3 cleansing deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. One last cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. When you're comfortable, slowly start to move. Slowly open your eyes or refocus your gaze. And that's that.
That was
Thanks
lovely,
again,
Jon.
brother.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I feel like a different person. Like I'm more relaxed now. It's like that was great, Jon. I think as we keep doing this, we might want to check back in on this topic next, like 6 or 8 weeks or something like that. I think it'd be great to see how far you are down the path, like another 40 or 60 days out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this. I mean, I think with the information you shared, even for the people that are on, like just to, like this is it's not. It's just going to be helpful. I feel like very helpful. Because we're all human beings. We go through things differently, but there's commonalities that that we all share in any time we're transitioning. And I think it's just important to be with where you are, and be okay with where you are. And then I think a big piece is like connecting with other people around this. I think is so helpful and therapeutic, like you talked about. And we're experiencing it as we're fucking doing it, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, with everything that's going on with physical and social distancing, I mean, we're still able to connect with others.
Yeah, I got a lot out of this, John. Tremendous
Yeah.
amount of this, you know, and it seems like you have too, you know, that's great.
Absolutely, dude. I'm in a much better place now than I was at the beginning of the conversation, like I said. So thank you for that, Will. I really appreciate your being a sounding board, and then also allowing me to share with other viewers what it is they may experience, whether it's a transition from the military or a transition out of college or a transition out of one job to another. Yeah, you're going to experience similar sensations and emotions. So be with them. You're, again, human, like I said during that meditation. You are a human being, and you're going to have these emotions. You're okay. Be with those emotions, and don't judge yourself for having them. Yeah, and reach out for help if you need it. You know. Absolutely. So absolutely. This is great, John. Thank you. All right, brother. Enjoy the pool. Enjoy the pool. Here, let me show you my fucking weather, John. Look at this. Isn't that nice? Look at that. Isn't that nice? Doesn't that look great? Oh, man. There's my pool out there. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But hey, for me, John, I'm really happy for you. You know, getting on the other side of this, like, you know, being real with yourself, being real with us. And I love what we're creating here, and thanks for giving this space that we can do something. So absolutely. So yeah, next week I'll actually be coming to you from my hometown in Ruston, Louisiana. Awesome. So hopefully I'll get to show you a little bit of where I grew up. Yeah, I think I might be in a lake. Hopefully. Next Right see what that looks like. I'm gonna get out of the city again. But thanks again, John. All right, brother. Good. Have a great weekend. Yeah, you do too. We'll be catching up soon. Thank you, everybody that joined us, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye-bye. Peace. Thanks, John. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.